What is going on, everyone? My name is Extreme Serial, and in this video I'm going to show you how to unlock all of these Swarm Disaster chapters, collect all your Primogem rewards and that sweet self-modeling resin, along with the Path of Propagation and this cool, very bright overlay for Swarm Disaster, in case you were ever gaming late at night and thought, man, I really wish my monitor could act as a second source of sunlight. I got you covered on all those fronts, so let's get to it. The first step in unlocking all of your Swarm Disaster chapters is understanding what exactly are the requirements to unlock each specific chapter. So for that, we're going to back up here and head over to our Communing Trail. As you can see, there are a certain number of points in each path, and this is important because the way you unlock chapters of Swarm Disaster is that once you pass through a specific plane, if you have a minimum number of points in the specified path, you will unlock the chapter for that path. To simplify this even further, essentially you need to pass through a checkpoint with a certain number of tokens. If you have the tokens, you get a reward. If you don't have the tokens, you can still pass, but you get no reward. Now, it should be noted that if you meet multiple requirements when passing through a checkpoint, you're only going to unlock one path. You'll have to come back around and do another run to unlock the different path. So now a few questions come about from that, right? One, how do we get points? Two, what exactly are these checkpoints? And three, how many points do I need in each path to get through the checkpoint and get my reward? So I'm going to be going over all of that. Let's break it down one at a time. The first thing we're going to go over is how to get points in the Communing Trail. So for that, from our starting screen, we're going to head over to the Communing Trail, go down to the Trail of the Pathstrider. And as you can see here, there are specific challenges set out for us. These challenges, if you look at them, give a certain number of points in each path if you were to complete them. Now, some of you might have already completed these challenges passively. For those of you who haven't, or those of you who are stuck, I would recommend looking at the challenge requirements to understand what they are. They are going to unlock one at a time, so you're not going to be able to just do them all at once, and you have to basically clear the one that's blocking you to unlock the next one. So it's important that you look at them to strategize your runs beforehand, not because the challenges are extra difficult, but rather they can be very specific, to the point where if you're not actively trying to complete them, you might never get them done and you'll never unlock all those chapters. Another thing that is important is if you look at all of my challenges, I don't have all of them unlocked. There are still a couple down here I don't have, and I don't have any of the hidden challenges. That's because you don't need all of them to get the number of points necessary to unlock all your chapters, which is pretty nice. It also means there's more Primogems on the table if you want to get them. So I'm going to go over all of the challenges that I completed and the strategies I used to get them done. Just in case you might end up struggling with any of them, I got you covered. So the first one is obtain 750 Cosmic Fragments. Just save. Don't spend your Cosmic Fragments. You can use the Path of Abundance if you really want to expedite this. Abundance basically allows you to visit more domains than other paths without having to worry about your count going down. So you can use that to your advantage and get more fragments. This is pretty easy to do. Once you unlock this, we'll go over to the next two. So this one, obtain a total of 10 Enhanced Blessings. For this, just prioritize curios or domains where the reward is to enhance a blessing. Collect your blessings and, well, just make sure they're enhanced. When you get 10, you'll be able to get this one done. Moving on over here, complete a total of 6 combat domains. You can use any path for this one, but Destruction will help you make it even easier. One of the dice rolls in Destruction is actually transforming a domain into a combat domain, so that'll make things easier on that end. Moving down here, we have trigger Planar Disarray 2 times at difficulty 2 or higher. So this is where we start to see that difficulty matters. There's a minimum difficulty needed to do these challenges. And just to spoil it for you, at the very end, it's going to require you to do this on difficulty 4 or higher. If you're struggling with Swarm Disaster on higher difficulties, I did make a guide to easily breeze through difficulty 5 and any difficulties lower than that. I'll put a link in the description below, so if you're struggling, click on that link, watch the video, sweep through Swarm Disaster, make it a complete joke, and then come back here and we'll keep going. Now, I should say, for those who don't know what Planar Disarray is, when your countdown goes into the negative values, you hit something called Planar Disarray. This buffs the boss. If you keep going higher and higher, the buffs increase and eventually the challenge can get really, very hard. Essentially, what you want to do is trigger this 2 times at difficulty 2 or higher, and then just get through it. Moving down here, we have enter and complete a transaction domain for a total of 3 times, difficulty 2 or higher. The transaction domains look like the scales if you haven't recognized them. When you go there, you can either spend your cosmic fragments on curios or blessings. So just go there, do that, difficulty 2 or higher, 3 times, get it done. Over here, we have complete a total of 6 domains with any beacon, difficulty 2 or higher. So beacons are these special kind of mini icons that appear on your domain. They have various effects. They can either be Trotter beacons, they can be enhancement beacons, mutation beacons, and those are pretty much all of them. There might be others for a specific path, but those are the main ones. For this, I would recommend going with Path of the Hunt. The reason why is that the Hunt path will place Trotter beacons on your map, at least 2 of them, and some of the dice rolls are placing more Trotter beacons. These will allow you to just kind of build this up quickly. You can also use Destruction, but Destruction might be a little difficult depending on how much you're struggling with Swarm Disaster. The reason is that Destruction focuses on placing enhanced beacons on combat domains, and so if you're not really the strongest combat player, you might find that facing off against enhanced elites or enhanced combat domains, it might be more challenging than just dealing with a Trotter who wants to run away from you. Now moving down here, we have obtain a total of 10 curios at difficulty 2 or higher. For this, save your cosmic fragments when you hit up a transaction domain. Buy as many curios as you can. Even if they're not worth it to you, you just want 10 to complete this. Also, when you hit reward domains or occurrence domains, pick the rewards and the occurrences that give you curios. And every time you have the option to, just pick a curio. This one is pretty straightforward. Moving on here, we have complete domains with the Blessing Trotter Beacon or Curio Trotter Beacon for a total of 4 times. And then I think you need to, I believe the challenge specifically is do this maybe 3 times and then do it 4 times total. But either way, this one here is also quite simple. Just pick Path of the Hunt. The hunt will spawn Curio and Blessing Trotters on your plane, so it makes this really easy and kind of tones down the RNG. Let's move down here to complete an adventure domain for a total of 3 times. For this, just move towards adventure domains and make sure you do them. This one's pretty straightforward. Let's move over here, trigger emergency a total of 1 times at difficulty 3 or higher now. Emergency is completely random. It's a random event that's going to happen on your map. You will see it that says emergency. It'll swap around your domains or give you a blessing or something. Just play through the game. Make sure you're playing at difficulty 3 or higher. If you trigger it at a lower difficulty, it doesn't count. That's kind of a waste. So do it at difficulty 3 or higher and get this reward. The next one here, dual plane converter. It needs you to complete Swarm Disaster at difficulty 3 or higher. Once again, if you're struggling with these higher difficulties, there's an entire guide that I made. It's in the link below in the description. Click on that, get yourself through it, and we can move on. Now going down here, generate 2 resonance interplays in the same challenge run for a total of 2 times at difficulty 3 or higher. If you don't know what resonance interplay is, let's actually backtrack here. Let's just start exploring and look at our paths. I'm going to head over to Abundance, and we go to Path Resonance, and you will see down here it says Resonance Interplay. It only applies for 2 paths. There's a Resonance Interplay for Nihility and a Resonance Interplay for Propagation. So the way this works is that once you achieve your path resonance, which whatever path you picked, there is then an option for Resonance Interplay. If you get 3 blessings of this interplay path, you will unlock the Resonance Interplay for that path. So in this case, if I got Path Resonance for Abundance, then got 3 blessings of Nihility, I would unlock the interplay Nullifying Ardor. And if I got 3 blessings for Propagation, I would unlock the interplay for First Illuminate the Mountains. and that would meet the challenge requirements. Now to do this, you have to collect quite a few blessings. So I personally would recommend Abundance actually to pull this off. Once again, Abundance revolves around moving through many more domains than you would with other paths without suffering the negative consequences of losing count values. Its whole gimmick is that your count value is going to be going up instead of down. So that's what I would recommend, but this can be done with any path. So just pick the path, look beforehand what exactly your interplays are. They're not the same for each path. As you can see here, Hunt relies on Hunt Abundance, Hunt Elation. And if I look over here at Elation, go down, and we can see that for Elation, it's Elation Remembrance and Elation Abundance. So whichever path you're going for, look it up beforehand, what the interplays are, strategize your run to get those blessings, and get that done. This challenge is obtain a total of 4 resonance formations at difficulty 3 or higher. So once again, let's move back for a second here, kind of hit our start exploring, and go check out our paths. I'm going to go to Abundance yet again, and we'll go to Path Resonance. These resonance formations are when you collect multiple of a blessing. So it's 3 to unlock your Path Resonance. And then after that, you collect more and more, and you will be able to unlock these resonance formations. What this challenge is telling you is that you need all of these. All 3 of them, plus your original Path Resonance, and then you'll unlock the challenge. What this translates to is that you want to collect every single blessing you possibly can for your specified path. Rely on anything under the sun, whether it's a reward domain, adventure domains, your resets, or even occurrences. Always just be on the lookout for collecting your blessings. Even the curios that are like those wax seals that unlock blessings in your path and make them more frequent, rely on everything. You can pick any path to do this. Once again, I'm going back to Abundance here just because it's so broken. I recommend Abundance for this. Abundance allows you to just traverse more domains than you normally could with other paths, not having to worry about the countdown going down. Because of this, you can very easily stack up on blessings, and with a little RNG on your side, get down all these path formations. Also, Abundance is probably the most broken path in this game. So, don't sleep on these resonance formations. They're very powerful, and they're going to make you immortal. The next challenge is consecutively enter Combat Swarm, or Elite domains 3 times, and repeat this action 4 times at difficulty 3 or higher. For this, I'm going to recommend the path of Destruction. Destruction converts domains into combat domains with some of its dice rolls. Makes this a whole lot easier and tones down the RNG requirements. And so yeah, at difficulty 3 or higher, remember you have to do this a total of 4 times. So you move through 3 of these combat domains. That counts as doing this thing 1 time. You got to do it a total of 4. Moving down here, we have purchase 3 or more items in transaction domains for a total of 2 times at difficulty 3 or higher. The minimum number of cosmic fragments you need at a transaction domain in order to purchase 3 things, assuming you have no curio that helps you out, is 300. You will be purchasing 3 1-star blessings, 100 apiece, for a total of 300. Once again, for this, just save your cosmic fragments. Have 300 by the time you hit a transaction domain. If you get curios that increase cosmic fragment gain or decrease the amount it costs to get something from a transaction domain, go for it, strategize your runs, and get this one done. It's pretty easy. Moving on here, we have complete 1 domain with Blessing Trotter, 1 domain with the Curio Trotter Beacon in the same plane for a total of 3 times. This is now a difficulty 4 or higher. You're really going to be have to upping your game here. But the actual challenge, if you can get past the difficulty 4 barrier, is very easy. Rely on the path of the Hunt. The Hunt will spawn 1 Blessing Trotter Beacon and 1 Curio Trotter Beacon at plane 1 and 2, making this challenge a complete breeze. Now this one might be a little challenging. It states, have the countdown at exactly 0 when entering Boss Swarm, which is the final boss, at difficulty 4 or higher. First of all, now we're in difficulty 4 or higher, so it's really kind of gating you there. Once again, you're struggling with difficulty, hit up the guide below. But if you can get past difficulty 4, this can be done with any path you pick. I would not recommend Abundance though. Abundance has you increasing your count and decreasing by 3. That's kind of the gimmick there. It makes the math very hard. On the other hand, every other path, you're just decreasing by 1, so it makes it simple. For me, I picked Path of Destruction because I figured if I'm going to have less blessings by having the count be exactly at 0, well, destruction increases your damage every time you do a combat domain. I figured it would kind of offset that. So with destruction, my strategy was make a beeline for the boss on the first 2 planes. That means I just went straight for the boss. No excess routing, no zigzagging, just hopped in a straight line right to the boss. And then on plane 3, I zigzagged. Plane 3 is where I had a few extra counts in my value, so I kind of zigzagged to make it go down. And by the time I hit my final domain, it was 0. It's pretty straightforward if you do this strategy. If you're having trouble with it, you're probably going to get it the second time. The first time you might have missed it by a few counts. The second time you'll understand what you did wrong and just get it done. Now, if we go over here, we have consecutively entered different types of domains for 4 times and repeat this operation 5 times at difficulty 4 or higher. This is a very straightforward challenge. What this means is that every time you move a domain, it should be different. It shouldn't be the same, right? And they should be all different from each other. So for example, I'm going to go to a combat domain, then I go to an elite domain, then I go to an occurrence swarm domain, and then finally I go to a combat swarm domain. Those were all different types. I did it 4 times. That counts as 1. I have to do this a total of 5 times at difficulty 4 or higher. You can use any path for this. Just make sure you're always going to different domains and get this one done. Now moving on here, have the average HP percentage of the entire team be at 100% when passing through any domain for a total of 20 times, difficulty 4 or higher. Once again, we're going to go back to the OG, recommending Abundance for this. Abundance is all about healing, keeping you immortal. You'll be at 100% all the time for this, but you can use any path. There's even curios that'll help you keep your health up, or you yourself can just make sure you're topped up before you end a fight. Either way, very simple, very straightforward here. Moving on, now we have possess 1,000 or more cosmic fragments when entering a boss swarm domain at difficulty 4 or higher. Final boss there. Okay, so possessing 1,000 or more cosmic fragments, just don't spend them. That's the strategy here. You can make it easier on yourself by always entering adventure domains, picking up early on the curios that increase cosmic fragment gain. That's it. There's nothing big here. I mean, as long as you don't spend, you're not tempted to do those resets, which I did, and I kind of messed up my run. But remember that, right? No resetting. Just save all the way through, and then you'll have 1,000 or more by the time you reach that final boss. And remember, this is also difficulty 4 or higher. And that's it. The rest of these challenges I have not done because they're not necessary. Now, some of you might have done these hidden challenges and gotten them unlocked while I did not. So let's answer the next big question. How many points do I need in each communing trail to unlock all my Swarm Disaster chapters? Looking at our communion trail, we are going to start off with Abundance, which needs at least 8 points to get both Abundance chapters. We're going to move on to the Hunt here, and the Hunt only has 1 chapter, and you need at least 2 points in Hunt to unlock that chapter. Destruction has 2, and you're going to need at least 5 points in Destruction to unlock both chapters. Elation has 2 chapters as well, and you are going to need at least 10 points to get all Elation chapters. Now let's head over on this way to Nihility. Nihility has 1, and you're going to need at least 6 points in Nihility to unlock that chapter. Remembrance has 2, and you are going to need at least 7 points in Remembrance to get both of those. And Preservation has 2 as well. You are going to need at least 13 points to get all of those. And those are the minimum point thresholds for unlocking all your chapters. Let's get to the final portion now, going over the checkpoints and the tokens needed to actually unlock the Swarm Disaster chapters. One thing I want to stress and make clear here is that if you meet the requirements to unlock multiple chapters when passing through a checkpoint, only one of them is going to unlock. You're not going to get both of them at the same time or multiple. You'll have to come back around and pass through the checkpoint again to unlock the other chapter. So let's break this down, starting with Preservation 1 over here. To unlock Preservation 1, you are going to have to pass through the second plane with at least 8 points in Preservation. Moving on over here to Abundance 1, you are going to have to pass through the second plane with at least 5 points in Abundance. Here at Elation 2, we are going to have to pass through the second plane with at least 10 points in Elation. Down here at Destruction 1, we're going to have to pass through the second plane with at least 3 points in Destruction. Moving up here to the Hunt 1, we are going to have to pass through the third plane with at least 2 points in the Hunt. Remembrance 2 requires you to pass through the second plane with at least 7 points in Remembrance. Now let's move on to Destruction 2. Destruction 2 is passing through the first plane with at least 5 points in Destruction. Down here at Nihility 1, we need to pass through the first plane with at least 6 points in Nihility. Down here at Remembrance 1, we need to pass through the second plane with at least 2 points in Remembrance. Moving down further to Elation 1, we need to pass through the second plane with at least 8 points in Elation. Up here at Abundance 2, we need to pass through the third plane with at least 8 points in Abundance. And lastly, for Preservation 2, we need to pass through the third plane with at least 13 points in Preservation. Once you have done all of that, you will have unlocked every chapter in Swarm Disaster and gotten all these rewards, a bunch of gems for yourself, and that sweet, sweet self-modeling resin. Once you have unlocked all the chapters of Swarm Disaster, you're going to be set up to unlock the Path of Propagation. What you're going to see is a quest pop up from Herta. This quest will have you re-enter the simulated universe Swarm Disaster, only this time you don't get to pick a difficulty. It's a pre-made difficulty that's not too hard in my opinion. If you were able to get through difficulty 4 and 5, which for some of those communing trail paths you had to do it at difficulty 4 or higher, this is going to be a complete joke to you. On top of that, there has been more beneficial domains placed in each plane, I believe on purpose. It's not RNG. As you can see in the footage here, some of the planes are just all rewards, swarm, combat. I mean, it's just good stuff all around. Pick whichever path you like, breeze through these planes. You're going to get some lore on the ending of Swarm Disaster. It's going to wrap up. You're going to get some nice conclusion as well as more points of suspicion. Once you have completed this run, you will then unlock the Path of Propagation and of course this very nice and bright flashbang loading overlay for Swarm Disaster. And that is it, everyone. That's how you unlock all the chapters of Swarm Disaster and the Path of Propagation. I hope this video helped you out. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys on the next one.